Fast food used to be the cheaper option. The sentence has become demonstrably false, and most people haven't updated their mental model to account for it. In 2025, the average fast food meal in the United States costs between $10 to $16 per person at the major chains. A family of four eating fast food for dinner is spending $45 to $65 on a single meal. That is not cheaper than cooking. In most cases, it's not even cheaper than a sit down restaurant when you factor in the service quality and the experience. Fast food has repriced itself into the moderate restaurant category while maintaining the psychological positioning of the cheap and convenient option. And that gap between how it's perceived and what it actually costs is quietly extracting hundreds of thousands of dollars per year from people who think they're making the economical choice. So here's the full financial picture and why the habit is harder to break than it looks. The price creep nobody noticed until it was too far gone. McDonald's prices increased by approximately 40% between 2019 and 2024. Chipotle increased by roughly the same, and Taco Bell and Wendy's and Burger King. The pattern is consistent across the category. The increases were implemented incrementally, never as a single dramatic jump, which is precisely why they landed so softly in consumer psychology. A 3% price increase on a $7 meal is a 21-cent change that barely registers. 10 of those increases over 5 years produces a $3 difference per transaction. Heck, just the other day, I went to McDonald's and it was $4 for a large fry. You can buy a bag of potatoes for that. And that still doesn't feel alarming on any individual visit, but it compounds across the entire category of fast food spending into a bill that no longer resembles what the fast food habit originally cost. And the psychological mechanism that made these increases nearly invisible is called price anchoring. The first time you paid $8 for a burger meal, $8 became your anchor, your reference point for what this item costs. When the price became $9, the anchor adjusted. When it became $10, adjusted again. And each individual adjustment felt like a small departure from the current norm rather than a large departure from where it started. And the cumulative department from 2019 to 2025 is 40%, a price increase that would have generated significant consumer outrage if it had happened in a single announcement. The updated reality, though, a fast food meal for one person with a drink at any of the major chains in a mid-sized American city now costs $12 to $17 and at 5 visits per week, below the American average for fast food frequency. That's 60 to $85 per week, $240 to $340 per month, $2,900 to $4,100 per year on food that provides approximately the same calories and content as home cooked meals that cost 3 to 4 times less per serving. Got an itch. And the convenience premium, what it actually costs. Okay, the standard defense of fast food spending is convenience. You're not paying just for the food, you're paying for the time you'd spend cooking, the planning it requires, the dishes afterwards. Time has value, and convenience is worth something. This reasoning is not wrong, it's incomplete. The convenience premium is real and legitimate in specific circumstances. And when time genuinely is the binding constraint, when the alternative is skipping a meal, when the cognitive load of planning a meal adds to an already overwhelmed day. Convenience purchases made deliberately for genuine convenience and situation where the premium is actually justified are reasonable financial decisions. The problem is that most fast food spending is not made in those specific circumstances. It's about out of habit, out of proximity, out of low energy default behavior when something closer and easier is available without a decision. The drive through on the way home from work is not usually a response to a genuine time shortage. It's the default when the alternative requires slightly more effort than feels manageable. The convenience premium is being paid not for genuine convenience, but for the absence of friction, which is different and more expensive thing. The actual time cost of cooking a simple meal, not a complicated recipe, a simple meal, is 30 to 45 minutes, including cleanup for most dishes. Then the average American drive-through wait time in 2024 was over 4 minutes just at the window, not counting the drive and the parking. The time saving for fast food over simple home cook is smaller than it appears, particularly for meals eaten at home rather than in a car. And home cooking for one person costs approximately per meal for a quality protein adequate dinner using ingredients bought at a grocery store. Fast food for the same person costs $12 to $17, and the convenience premium is $6 to $11 per meal. And at 5 meals per week, the convenience premium is $30 to $55 per week, or $15.60 to $28.60 per year, paid for an average time savings that is often less than 20 minutes. And the health cost that compounds the financial one. Fast food's financial damage extends beyond the direct transaction cost in a way that most financial discussions of the habit omit. The health cost of a frequent fast food diet is real, documented, and has a financial component that belongs in the same accounting. High sodium, high saturated fat, high processed sugars, diets increase risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and metabolic syndrome, conditions that generate healthcare costs, reduce energy and productivity, and create quality of life impacts that have indirect financial consequences. Then the average American with type 2 diabetes spends 16,000 per year on medical costs, approximately 2.3 times what an equivalent adult without diabetes spends. And not all of that difference is attributable to a diet. Some portion of it is. This is not a health video and it's not a nutritionist, but a complete accounting of what frequent fast food consumption costs has to include at least the acknowledgement that the direct food cost understates the full cost when health consequences are included. The financial case against frequent fast food doesn't require a health argument to be compelling. It's compelling on the transaction math alone. The health components make it more so. The habit loop that keeps it going. The fast food is not primarily a convenience purchase. It is primarily a habit, a behavioral loop that runs below the level of active decision making in the same way any established habit does. The habit loop for fast food follows a consistent structure. A cue, typically a location trigger, the specific exit on the highway, the corner near the workplace, a time trigger, the commute home between 5 and 6 p.m., or an emotional trigger, the feeling of tiredness or reward seeking after a demanding day, a routine that well practiced sequence of turning in, ordering, paying, receiving a reward, the dopamine response to an anticipated food, the immediate satiation, the relief from the decision of what to eat. The loop runs automatically because the cue routine reward sequence has been practiced enough times that the routine fires in response to the cue without active decision making. You don't decide to stop at the drive through, you find yourself at the drive through. The decision happened or didn't happen several steps earlier when the cue fired and the routine activated before conscious deliberation had a chance to participate. Habit research suggests that the most effective intervention is not willpower applied at the moment of the routine, which is the weakest point in the sequence, but the friction introduced before the cue fires. For the drive through habit, a different route home that doesn't pass the location trigger. A meal prep session on Sunday that puts a ready made dinner in the refrigerator for the 5 highest risk weeknights. A default dinner decision made before the commute begins when energy is higher than the cue hasn't activated, rather than during the commute when the habit loop is already running. The math that changes the behavior. This is what you need to be listening to. And here's a number that has the most practical impact on this habit when it's actually calculated. The annual cost of your current fast food spending expressed as what it would be worth if it invested instead. If you spend $250 per month on fast food, a modest estimate for one person eating fast food regularly, that's $3,000 per year. Invested monthly at 7%, average annual return, $250 per month becomes $49,000 in 10 years, $122,000 in 20 years, and $249,000 in 30 years. The fast food is not competing with your retirement fund as a single transaction. It is competing with your retirement fund as a pattern maintained over decades. The pattern, not the individual meal, is what the math is measuring. And the pattern, not the individual meal, is what the habit loop perpetuates. Change the routine. Plan the meal before the commute. Put Sunday's prep session in the calendar and protect it. The habit loop will adapt within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent friction. The money will accumulate in proportion to how thoroughly the pattern changes, and the fast food will stop being the economical choice and the movement and the moment you've internalized what it actually costs, not per meal, but per decade. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, check out this one over here. It can also help you on your financial journey. Thanks for watching, and we will check you on the next one.